can only connect to one thing. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you feeling?
Good.
Good afternoon, Alice. I'm going to send you um, one of the documents. Hey.
Hi.
I'm going to send you, I was trying to put this on this whiteboard here. I don't know. Have you ever done it?
No.
Like where, yeah, like I guess you can put like the whole uh, uh, document on the screen, but I
Okay.
try to figure it out now because, oh, wait a few more. There's supposed to be two others, but
Okay.
I'll just email it to you.
So my computer might die before the class ends,
Okay.
and I don't have chance to plug it because
Okay.
I I tore my ACL. So I'm like laying on the couch
Oh,
and I don't have like any plug around me.
oh gosh, was it from
From
volleyball?
volleyball. Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
how
yeah.
long ago?
Like on Tuesday.
Oh, was it at the Trout Lake?
No, it was like a tournament that we play on Tuesday.
Um, okay.
Yeah.
Boy, and so and I mean it's pretty serious, isn't it, when you tear it? So like I mean, are you,
So we don't know yet,
oh, okay.
because I'm gonna have the MRI on Friday.
Oh, okay, okay.
But right now I cannot walk and I have crutches. So
Oh boy. Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah,
That's good that yeah, you at least have the crutches too. Okay.
yeah.
And I mean, worst case scenario, do they uh, how soon might they schedule surgery?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the doctor in emergency thought that it could be
ACL.
the ACL, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did you step on someone's foot? I mean,
Oh no, I just fell with all my weight on one leg and my knee didn't hold me and it just like
oh
yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
gosh. Oh,
Yeah, I couldn't walk at all because my knee was just like going on one side.
oh
Yeah, it was bad.
boy. Like
Yeah.
horrible pain at that moment when that
Oh,
happened.
terrible.
Oh,
Terrible.
wait one second. I lost you. Do you still see me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, well, thank you so much for coming in. Yeah, that document might, I'm gonna have to restart to get it back on my screen, so just hang in
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. All right. And, even though you're small, it's okay. Sounds good. Okay, let me just get a sip of water and then just, okay. Oh, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Well, I won't say the Buddhists do, but the yogis believe. Um, our thoughts are a form of energy, uh, the same way light from the sun is. So, like the yogis, you hear many who have been in the mountains, meditating, they're helping, they're not just trying to retreat from the world, but they're trying to help our planet consciousness by sending out their thoughts of peace. And so, definitely they'll dedicate this to you and the right knee or left knee?
Left.
Left.
Yeah.
And of course, you're not going to do that three prostrations, but
No.
you can kind of do it a little bow. Start with that. Again, give thanks to our teachers, teaching as they come down the lineage from Buddha to his disciples, other many teachers that continued it orally before it was written, before it finally reaches us, where then it supposedly continues. We share it with others. Yeah, there was this new student who was supposed to be here. Maybe she'll join a bit. Um, I didn't reply on how much she knew, but thought it was, some of the material in the class, like last week's class about bodhicitta. You kind of just, I just go into it. It's kind of, really detailed. It's important for the homework, and it is what I'm supposed to share, but maybe it doesn't apply into our lives as much. So, in the review, sometimes it is I'll review something that we learned last week, but I think some of the, big points, Buddhism, which you will have heard, are worth repeating. uh, because, the info that we hear, it, here you might go, oh yeah, I heard that one before. But the intention with Buddhism is to kind of really have it in your mind stream, like so that it's, you know, think about some habits you have. I use a simple one like brushing your teeth. Like we're young, probably resisted, our parents keep reminding us, pushing us. And then one day, I guess we understood, like really understood. It doesn't feel good with the teeth or cavities or suddenly, or maybe it just became a habit. But at some point, I'm sure right now, for a lot of us, uh, we understand, like really understand that brushing our teeth is important. And then we do, not because someone told us to. So, this is where they say the teachings are in your mind stream that like that motivates you to do. Um, I'll give an example because actually it's probably better. It was a kind of I went on a retreat. Um, I actually started it before doing learning about Buddhism, but there was one retreat where the theme, meditations I was supposed to do was about death. Um, Imagining, I think the part was just imagining some loved ones who you loved and imagining them being really dead. At that time, my kids were young, exactly remember, but yeah, they're young, and my wife, I were the ones that popped up in my head. And the good thing about being in retreat, you don't have any other input distractions. You're not supposed to bring a phone, don't read, like you meditate, you go for a walk. So you're out in nature, so you're easier to focus and a lot more open. And I don't think it was the first day, but I do remember at some point, you imagine I was starting with my kids and one combined both. When I really got to the point where I could really imagine that they had passed, I just started crying and sobbing and crying. I think that one was easy for me because I'd always, you know, I came from a broken family, had two divorces, two breakups, live-in breakups, and so yeah, at one point I realized I wanted a family. So these two boys are, kind of that. But I really, really just tried, and I was telling someone yesterday, cry so much. You're like your stomach is like so tight because like you just like uh, yeah, I got to that place where it was just sobbing. Uh, um, so I remember that, and then feeling the same for my wife, and it was great because at that time we had opened a door, it was growing. It was already 4 studios at that time or something, and you know we had aspirations for it to grow. I had other people, asked to do other projects, and by doing by really imagining them dead, that suddenly, you know, at the end of the retreat, you're reading what you learned, journaling it. Uh, it was pretty obvious to me that I wanted to spend time with them. Actually, the reason I got into yoga, I, I was working in the restaurant at that time, so I was always working in the evenings, and I was thinking, well, how is that going to help spending time with the family? Like, I'll leave work when they come home, and by the time I come home, they're asleep. Um, so I I enjoyed, I was practicing yoga, but I thought that's the ideal, like, work to be with the family, teach a class, maybe one in the morning or one in the evening. Um, maybe both at that time I had to, but then at the middle afternoon, help see them before they go to nap. I'd do some work when they napped, woke up, uh, and the great thing about the yoga studio is that, instead of most people going to work and being at work 8 hours, we couldn't go to the office because there's classes in the morning and the evening. So this was like, way before COVID, before people were working from home. This was almost from the beginning. I was able to work from home. We would email each other. Other managers obviously call, but there was no Zoom, so we never did any like Zoom meetings. We tried to keep things on email because sometimes some teachers would teach in the morning and they couldn't do their admin until the evening, or vice versa. I would do mine after I put the kids to bed. So yeah, as I was saying, just feeling that, really imagining them being passed away reminded me that was the reason I got into yoga, or into and so getting busy or trying to grow it more. Obviously, you have supposedly more money for the family, but you know, I didn't need to, or I didn't want to sacrifice the time with them. So yeah, that was one of the big learnings about that. And so yeah, I wanted to, if Sophia watches this, you know, have her know that Buddha's his most famous lines is that life is suffering. It's part of what he says, the 4 Arya truths. Um, so, coming back to life is suffering, I wanted to, I was kind of breaking it down. I remember the first day I was like, oh, besides the obvious physical, mental, emotional, spiritual suffering, kind of said it like, because I've heard it so many times, but I haven't said it so many times. So I wanted to kind of go funny enough, sorry, Alice. I didn't, obviously don't want to make you feel bad, but yeah, think about physical pain that we as humans have. You don't have to be old to have them, right? Um, I deliver Meals on Wheels on Fridays and sometimes twice a week. Last week, and so I'm delivering to people who can't cook or can't walk, can't move. There's quite a few homes. I do a passcode to get in and put the food either in the fridge or on the table for them because they can't even make themselves get out to the door to pick up the meals. Um, there's some people who can't remember. I will says on the book, or it says besides their name, tell them their daughter sent them the food, or uh, tell them that they ordered it because they can't remember that they ordered the food. So there's some who can't talk, can't hear. There's I delivered to a blind person yesterday, which is pretty amazing because he opens the door and he obviously knows the way to the doorway, but then he's able to get the food and yeah. Um, I had a hernia surgery this past year, and before the surgery, the surgeon told me, maybe you might have to fill it, Alice, but this questionnaire about what health problems you might have. And I've done something similar at gyms or whatever, like one page, but this one, they want really detailed. And it was like pages. It was like it took me, I think, half an hour. I don't have hardly anything, but I had to read through each of them. And I'm just saying that because, I just realized that every part of the body can be sick. Um, you know, for as many parts as you have, that's how many problems there can be, and even more. Like, there's so many irritable bowel syndrome. I don't know if you know what fibromyalgia. It's like conditions which kind of general. Irritable bowel could be anything in your digestion or elimination that they haven't really figured out. They don't even completely identify and can't cure. Um, So yeah, the human body can be sick in so many ways, hurt in so many ways. Mental suffering. I'd say, just answer this for yourself. If 10 is always being happy on scale of 1 to 10, 1 is not, how do you feel you would be mentally on average? Whatever number it is, just acknowledge. I mean, might come up later again. You can think about it, but how focused are you mentally? I'll have you, maybe Alice, kind of just close your eyes right now. Just focus on your breath. I'm going to give you like 30 seconds. See if you can stay or just observe if you wander away from your breath, come back to it. But just to focus on your breath starting now. That's 30 seconds. That's supposedly with you trying, you know. Um, I see my kids, I limited their screen times to help their focus, and I can see sometimes I'll talk to them and like, they're looking at me, and then suddenly, like uh, their focus is gone. I mean, it comes back so they can kind of pick out the gist, but they say with our generation connected to the phone and just kind of like images fast, 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 yeah, our ability to be present and to focus is attention span is getting shorter and shorter. Emotional suffering. Think of some that you dislike. You can just check off in your head if you have these on a weekly basis, daily basis. Anger, fear, worry, a loss, loneliness, feeling unloved. I can go on, but how often do you feel these? They say in Buddhism, there was 84,000 mental afflictions. That's how many things can disturb the peace of our mind. Why our mind isn't like calm, like a clear lake. Water in a clear lake is always going to be a little bit rough. And then spiritually, what do you believe in? Especially when things are tough. Your belief on death. Where do you go in the afterlife? What's the purpose of this life? Some may not have that, but some, as they get older, again, that's comes may come. So, I mean, definitely there's many beautiful things in this life. We all can think of maybe just as many as what I just had you think of. Um, but again, with those, they none of them last. None of them will go with you in death. So, uh, if there's one thing you, me, people watching, people on the street, when I was on the trip and I was in the subway, and I really liked on the trip just watching people. I could have been easily on my phone on the subway, but I was like watching the people and just kind of occurred to me, look, they weren't all like depressed or it wasn't as poor as in Vietnam when I went there. And where, oh, you see some people, they are, you can see they're in really tough living conditions, um, living like a little dirt pile where it might seem okay when it's sunny and dry, but supposedly when the rainy weather comes, it just comes and floods their whole place. So they have like everything washes out. Um, dirty sewage, just sewage systems horrible. So there's just a smell everywhere. I'm saying that in Vietnam, but in China it wasn't. But I just kind of looked at everyone and I thought, yeah, it doesn't matter how some of them dressed in beautiful clothes or you looking great, but we are all kind of suffering in different ways. Um, and so, yeah, that is what connects us all. We're all trying our best to, I would say, on a daily, hourly basis, to do things that make us happy, make us feel better, and avoid the things that don't. Yeah, when I heard that and had time to meditate on it, I was like, yeah, you know, don't, I have some Chinese medicine I'm supposed to drink, and it's not what I want to drink. I cooked it already. I'm like, "Ooh, it's bitter. It doesn't taste good." I'm like, I want to go for the dessert I have there, and I know it's good for me, but yeah, instinct isn't to go for the things that are you don't like. Um, so yeah, those are supposedly are the just regular sufferings. But life is uncertain. Alice, yeah, your knees like a complete example. Like who would know? I'd never have guessed. You're playing. You're fairly young. I don't think you've hurt that knee before this way, so it's not like you have a predisposition to having that. Um, I have a dear friend who came back from a wonderful honeymoon-like trip with his wife of 24 years, having a great time because the kids are grown up. They don't have to worry about them. Didn't have had lots of time. They weren't in a like one of those trips where you like got a rush. They could, you know, go back and have a nap in the afternoon. They were saying that their nest egg increased. Got a call just before just before they went away, the stockbroker called them and said, "Oh, your portfolio went up 50% in the past 9.5 months. That's a lot." And like 50%, if you say, "Oh yeah, it was $100, went up to 150, no big deal." But they said it was like 750 grand, and it went up to 1.1 million. So yeah, they are pretty much retired. Just working to increase their nest egg for retirement. Um, so I kind of was sharing this story because when they came back, male met up with ex-girlfriend, and dog is being called out. Um, and he realizes he has like feelings for his ex-girlfriend. Wife finds out and suddenly demands either a divorce, yeah, or that's or no more contact with her husband and ex-girlfriend. And so yeah, it's quite a shock. Like after this honeymoon, maybe that's a good example of what goes up must go down. But yeah, there's a lot of examples. I know, I don't know if you know about the Liberal Party, and don't really follow politics, but I did hear like election was in the spring. Liberals, because Justin Trudeau was resigning, he's really not doing a good job, would not going to be elected at all. They were in third place, just like you know, parties in disarray. Uh, and then Donald Trump appears and says, "I'm going to put tariffs on you." Since they're still in power, regroup and find the new leader within their party, and then boom, they win the election. Mark Carney is like the prime minister, and you know, uh, Pierre Poilievre, leader of the conservative, is like, what the hell happened? Supposed to be the next prime minister. Like, if you think uh, you know what's going to happen tomorrow, really don't. People complain about the weather, meteorologists not knowing the weather because it changes. I think they know the weather better than we know a lot of things, as well as, don't really know what will happen. Um, yeah, that one definitely big. Always wanting more. Um, I just did finish the trip. I told you, and it was amazing. Um, there I am at the end of the trip, telling my wife when we came back. Um, the return flight was delayed. And Air Canada gave us a little voucher for like, oh, get a discount on your next flight. And she has only certain holidays. It's kind of why we had to go at this time. So her next set of holidays is in end of March, like around Passover. And yeah, there I am, like, oh, hun, go uh, fill out the voucher and go look into the flight for Portugal. And I kind of just laugh thinking about that because that second suffering is always wanting more. It's like, yeah, mine's already like, ooh, next trip. Um, so, I'll let you think about what have you enjoyed recently. Being with someone, their company, eating something, whatever you recently enjoyed. Maybe you were satiated, kind of like happy for a while. And when did you want more? I'm a big sports fan, and it's funny how, at the end of their celebration, and they're like, some of them are crying, they're holding up their trophy, and it's like, what do you want? And like, two in a row. We want to come back and win another one. It's yeah, we're all kind of like that. There's a cartoon, I don't know if you watched that, by Pixar, and maybe it's Little Nemo, and they have the seagulls, who usually make the sound caw caw caw, and they made them say more, 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 more. And yeah, I don't think I'll forget it because it is a little bit about us, what about us wanting more. So yeah, I have great compassion for rich people who continue to want more because yeah, though they have a lot, it's never enough. Not for everyone, and I'll say it definitely is, not the same level for everyone. But yeah, we have to admit it, and it isn't something we choose. It's almost like, according to Buddhism, it's almost like a seed. It's something that is part of human nature. So yeah, suffering a human life. I repeat it, and I'll go into it, but just birth is painful. Aging is not nice. Getting old. There was with friends last night, and it seems to come to, oh, look at my gray hair, look at my skin. But getting old, uh, getting sick, suffering of rebirths. So this whole cycle has to be done over and over, not even if you're just as a human. And just remember that being born as a human is supposed to be really, really special. We don't know anything else. We think it's normal. But the example in Buddhism, they say it's as common as if a turtle stuck their head out of the ocean, and when they stuck their head, there was a life preserver that went over their neck. There's this one life preserver floating around, and the chances of us being reborn as a human, having enough good virtue, good karma in this life to allow us to be reborn, is that small. A turtle sticking their head out and finding that this the one life preserver. Because yeah, I thought, oh well, yeah, we'll be reborn as a human. Big deal. Not really. Most likely because of the bad deeds we do. And it's not. Most of us don't kill, do something like sexual misconduct, uh, thoughts, and yeah, repeated usually when we're upset or anger to it. Just kind of like we do more bad karma than we think, and that accumulates usually to bring us rebirth into the lower realms as an animal, craving spirit, hell being. So, yeah, what goes up must go down. So, is there anything that keeps getting better, uh, growing bigger? Does a beautiful model look more beautiful at 80 than 20? Because writing, maybe other than greed, it keeps going up. Olympic champions, I don't know if I shared that. I did in the first course. Like, I had a Sports Illustrated, and it was talking about um, bronze medal gymnasts from America, another person. Both stories was kind of funny. They both were talking about how the year after they won the Olympics, they were really depressed. Everyone thought they were like on top of the world and they should be happy all the time. And the truth was they weren't. Like, they achieved their goal. What else is there, you know, to do? It just was really tough for them. They said that year after. So yeah, look at your own life. Has it been continual increase in happiness? I kind of pick out points I can kind of say that, but it's say almost like the stock market, up and down, up and down. So yeah, death is the last one, and it isn't about missing the people who you would miss if you're gone, but it is just, again, everything that you cherish, you love, the people that you're close to. things that you consider, things you take with you everywhere, even memories. I'm more into experiences, but like, well, my head, I forget, you know, people have Alzheimer's, dementia. It's like, well, everything that you experience is gone. I was talking to my friend and she forgot certain special moments. And like, oh, they're like, you know, uh, and so none of it you can bring with you. Mm. So, did talk a little bit about death today, and I think that one thing I did want to share is that if you had wanted to, keep, um, even for 5 minutes, there's different death meditations. One is like, just imagine today is your last day. I'm not a big fan of that one because I mean, it can happen. Like, people who die, it's usually on that day. But well, it, but, but it's supposed to motivate what you do that day. And um, most people would quit their job, but most people have to go to their job to, you know, supposedly to pay rent, their, their expenses. But I would say, imagine if you had a year to live, a month, do it shorter. A year I find is a good one. Definitely do this on birthday, New Year's. I have a journal, but, and repeat it for a month. Like, don't just do it one day, but kind of repeat it. And just really imagine if fact is yoga, they say, oh, we're working on health. The Buddhists, their view of the body, they say we're made also of different energies, but they say being healthy is actually a complete accident. We're more like our energies are never in balance, constantly out of balance. So if you are kind of okay, that is lucky. So we're supposedly doing things to, we try to every day do things that are help us be healthy, right? Live longer. But so yeah, the our society doesn't talk about death very much. Many kind of avoids it. Me, my wife's family, like I'm not even supposed to. Yeah, I'm not even supposed to bring the word up at the family dinners because the parents are older and they think that's gonna uh, bring the bring it upon them to talk about it. You know, they have that superstition. So, but the reason I feel it is so important is it really puts a perspective on what is important, what you, you know, what you're doing, what maybe you want to give up. Separate topics. And so in that way, I feel like, this talk, this intro about life is suffering isn't depressing. It should be really inspiring to um, let us know there is an end. I will recommend a movie I watched on the airplane called Witness. It's a early this year's by Sandra Oh. It's I think on Prime, but maybe you can get Amazon Prime. And this concept is just in this futurist society, because us humans take up so many resources that they're making all humans have to don't kill them. It's this gas that kills them. So I guess, yeah, they basically have to die at 50. And so the movie isn't like a sci-fi movie. It's not. It just has this concept, and it's really nice because it shows some different people in the last day. That there's a young boy whose job is to help this process, and yeah, if it calls you, it's a yeah, really well made movie, and it can, you know, but yeah, that can make each day more meaningful. Yeah, definitely one reason why I'm doing these classes, because yeah, I realize this um, will help me toward Buddhahood. So that is what I wanted to share there. Okay. Mm. So yeah, just maybe to review the other truths, that there is a cause for this suffering. It is, in Buddhist terms, they say ignorance. The way I think I don't know what you might think it is. Um, it is related to how we see things, and I'll kind of review it next class because I felt I did it last class about emptiness already. Um, that there is an end to the suffering, that, you know, to not be reborn, to not have these sufferings of this human life or three lower realms, is to actually be a Buddha, to reach full enlightenment. And that from wherever we are to there is a path. That's great to know, because otherwise it's like, you know, good to know there's an endpoint, but we want to know how to get there. Right? So these three paths, it's almost like they talk about the path. The first course was talking about the three paths. So I think of it more like there is a path, there's a way, what we're supposed to practice to get there. But they say the three principal paths, and I always think of, oh, okay, kind of like three roads, but think of it just like kind of one path with three lanes, you know. And it's a really good, I think, analogy, because you're supposed to walk these three paths at the same time. Um, the first one is renunciation, which is what I was basically spent this first half of the class kind of going, kind of really thinking, contemplating, and meditating. Like, is life suffering? Because if you don't really think that, and you think, you know, someone out there, something out there, there's a job out there that can make you really happy and everything will be great, well, then that's what you should pursue. See if that's the case. Because you won't really have, you'll think, and I think we all have had that time for something. Think, yeah, that's going to be, if I have that, then I'm okay, be fine, you know. And how long that lasts, yeah, it's going to be depending on the karma. But renunciation is definitely the first path. It's to recognize, to really examine and think about, you know, everything you dream about, as you see on commercials or movies. Is it going to be lasting happiness? You know, is it worth all the effort to do that? Mm, because they will say, you know, we may all have moments, especially when we're not feeling good, like agreeing with that, but you really have real renunciation in your mind stream when you are thinking about this 24/7, when you're like, okay, I'm eating this, and you enjoy it. This is one thing I heard repeated over. Maybe I hadn't repeated. They're saying being a Buddhist doesn't mean like not enjoying, like,
Sorry, I have to leave 1 second.
okay, yeah, yeah, no, I will. It's recorded, and so you
Okay.
just kind of come in,
Okay, okay.
and I wish you less pain, Alice, and yeah, you can
Thank you.
continue to
I'm
listen to
coming back like in
karma.
10 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, whenever you can.
Thanks.
Yeah. That when you have 24/7 feeling of not wanting to stay in this cyclic life, samsara, you say. So the second path is what we'll talk about today, bodhicitta, in more detail. But the third one is what we'll go over next class, is wisdom. It is understanding emptiness. It's understanding how are we recreating this world that we see? How are you creating the words you hear from me? It might sound like it's from me, but it's actually from your karma, the past, filling up your projector to see, hear, and feel what you do from listening to this. Yeah. So today it's almost like a deeper dive into bodhicitta, which is what we talked about last week in more detail, and I hope that second half of the class, as Geshe Michael Roach says, is details. And there might be things you don't really remember. Might be things you can't really apply into your life, but they say by studying those details, you remember the more important ones. So, yeah. So bodhicitta is the wish to reach enlightenment for the sake of all beings. So the big point from last week, talk about it, is that it really is two things: the wish to reach enlightenment. You want to get to a place where you're going to be happy all the time, and second part where you're helping others, and combined in one sentence, but it is really two parts. And that's, this bodhicitta to reach enlightenment, as I said, I should repeat again, is you won't really want to go to enlightenment. Do the study, do the homework, make time to listen to this. If you believe that there is happiness to be found in this world that will last, you have to have renunciation first. So these 5 parts of the path was actually discussed last week. So to kind of come back, I said, okay, we're walking these 3 different paths on the way to Buddhahood. So it is one path. But if you think about the whole path from where you are to the end point, they say there's 5 sections of the path. Not in equal parts, but the first one is accumulation. And this is where you are working on renunciation. And when you reach, again, true renunciation, then you're thinking about wanting to continue on this path, and you're accumulating merit. And here's a good place to say merit is good karma, things that you do. And I'm going to make a note to review. I think it's obvious what good deeds are for a lot of us, but we say merit is when you do it with that intention that it's going to help you towards your enlightenment, that you're kind of like doing this good deed. Example, maybe I'm delivering food to seniors. Yeah, I'm doing a good deed, but if I do it with that thought that I'm doing this so the karma can go toward my enlightenment. It's called merit. That if I didn't and just do a good deed or just give money to somebody not thinking that, then it just, they say it's dirty white karma. That, yeah, it will lead to a result, but that result will be used up. Um, so, where it keeps coming in and out. Second part of the path is preparation. So you are preparing to see emptiness by learning, contemplating, and meditating. Doing that now. Next week, yeah, we'll talk more about emptiness. And this path, this part of the path, um, can be really long, can be years and probably lifetimes. And if you're here, you probably studied this already in a past life. That's what they say. In fact, you're a lot closer to the end of this part of the path because what we're trying to reach is this third one of seeing, which is again the direct perception of emptiness. This experience where it can be as short as 15 seconds, as long as 30 minutes, where are, you will see how your mind creates, you'll see how things really are, and you'll get to experience it. And that even after this direct perception of emptiness, after you've had this experience, you'll come out of it and you'll still see that things appear um, self-existent. You will, look at a person and you'll think it's like that person comes from them. It's not from you, but you won't believe it. You'll look at an object and you think, oh yeah, or I'm looking at, you look at the laptop. It's like, oh, it's separate from me. It's not a projection. It's not like something from my mind moving up something on this screen, the movie. Um, you'll see things, but you won't believe it anymore. And then the fourth part of the path is what they call habituation. So on this point, fourth to the end point, they say there's 10 levels of bodhisattva levels or bhumi levels, BHUMI, that you reach where with each stage, you're getting rid of those mental afflictions that by the end, you don't have them, This is why you're in bliss and happiness all the time. So along this path, you're getting used to seeing that things are coming from you, coming from within. You may still experience pain and suffering just because your karma, you're burning them off. Um, so, and then the last part of this path, I think this almost includes the end point, is the no more learning, the fifth part of the path. And that's nirvana, where there is just no more mental afflictions, or hopefully total enlightenment, Buddhahood. And that's the 10th bodhisattva level. So that's where the 5 parts of this entire path is. Yuki's coming in. So the handout that I handed you, you don't have to open it. I think I can try to describe it, but if you're a really visual person, you can open it and take a look at it later. But the same way, if someone said to you, money, how do you divide money? Well, one way you can talk about it, like explain it, is like, oh, money exists in different countries as different currencies. So they say bodhicitta, this wish for enlightenment, can be described different ways. So one of the ways to break it apart is the spiritual classification. Um, so there are four of those, and the first one is the belief wish. That's you want to help beings, you want to help other beings, but you haven't seen emptiness yet. So it does sound a bit like the first part of the path, but again, it's this trying to break down bodhicitta, and that's probably where if any of us are. It's at this first stage. You want to help other people, but we haven't seen emptiness, and but you believe in it, believe in what when you hear it taught, spoken about. The second part um, is the personal responsibility wish. And this is when someone has seen the direct perception of emptiness. So they don't believe things are self existent. And they are on that part of the path. They're in the bodhisattva levels from 1 to 7, but they're not at the very end. And they call it this name, personal responsibility, is that person feel that it's their responsibility to get to Buddhahood, that we can help all beings. Um, yeah, that even if nobody helps them, they will do it on their own. So the third one is called the ripened wish, and this starts at the 8th level of the Bodhisattva, Bhumi level. And at the 8th part, they said, even after you see direct perception of emptiness, things appear like they exist outside of you. But at this stage, 8th stage, things no longer seem that way. People will look and just go, oh, yeah, it's coming from within. I kind of think Vidisant would be like someone who is involved in making movies. When they watch a movie, they know, if it's a special effect, say they're a specialist in that, they know it's a special effect. They don't get tricked into like, oh yeah, that really is something exploding. It's like, no, they're like, oh, that's, they put computer part on that explosion. They used, a model here. So yeah, you know. And the last one is wish where all obstacles are eliminated. Um, so this is you're at the 10th level. So actually, the 10th level is the end of the path. It's at Buddhahood, where you don't see, you don't think, things are self-existent. So the Buddha is, they see everything as it really is. So that is spiritual classifications of bodhicitta. The next one I like this one. It's, um, it's by the way one thinks. Just open the door. So again, this is how do you want to help other beings? The first way they say is like the king-like wish. And this one is where you reach enlightenment first, and then you come help others. And they use king-like because they said back in the days when there would be a war, the king would be in the front. I think I've seen some movies about that where, the king leads a charge, whereas it seems to be more recently the king now is in the back, protected. They don't want to kill the king. They don't want the king killed, right? So, but in the beginning, I guess back in the days they wrote this, the example was the king led the charge, and so you go first. Second one is shepherd-like wish. So if you think of a shepherd guiding cows or lambs, the shepherd's at the back, trying to push forward the sheep. Right? So that way they are going to guide others towards enlightenment and reach it last. So that's another possibility. the bodhicitta. And the last one is a ferryman bodhicitta. And that one is like you're on a ferry, while the person driving the ferry is on with you. So when do you get to the other side? At the same time together. They're all kind of going together. So yeah, these are three different types, but they usually say we should do the first one. We should go first and then uh, help all beings. So that's another way to divide bodhicitta, um, break it down, is into prayer bodhicitta or action bodhicitta. So prayer would be just having the thought, having the wish. I say it to you now, would you want to help all beings? And there's a little part of you like, yeah, that would be nice. If I had the ability to, yeah, I would. Well, then that's part of prayer. The action one is actually where you are doing something to help other beings. So um, it can be in any way. It could just be, I told someone, I said, I felt I was helping people in Beijing by smiling. People don't really smile at each other, especially strangers in public. But I would smile, and sometimes some people I could see like they just received it, and they had a big smile back. Feel like it was a special moment for them. Someone joked that, oh, if you see someone smile, it's a tourist. Um, but helping other beings, and the karma for doing that. You get karma for having the wish. If you just right now go, okay, I'd like to help people. But it's powered up. You get more merit if you take the Bodhisattva vows, which I've taken as part of the 7th course. And with 108 vows. Um, so you don't have to be a monk to take these. They're the first few are maybe they'll say praising someone or criticizing someone to get gain or honor, kind of related into maybe they say teaching that I was like criticizing another teacher or praising myself as a teacher, then that breaks one of the bodhisattva, the first bodhisattva vow. So there's 108 of these that if you committing to them, then they power up the good karma you do. So the last way to break up bodhicitta, they say, is by deceptive and ultimate. We're almost done. And it's just saying that, bodhicitta could be divided into those who haven't seen emptiness and those who have, which that one isn't on the homework, but teachers just wanted to say those are the, 4 different ways to break up bodhicitta. Okay, I mean, Alice, I know a lot of the classes they sometimes kind of go on. I remember I took it sometimes. I was like, hey, there's like no time to ask anything. But supposedly that's the way it is. It's meant to, and I whoosh give you the info and hope it sinks in. But as we were trying to finish all the material for today, is there anything you wanted to ask? Anything from, yeah, since we took the class, or even questions?
No, I think it was pretty clear.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, and okay, if nothing comes up, that's fine. If it ever does, you just send the email and I'll kind of address it even if you're not in class. But
Mhm.
next week, yeah, we will kind of look more into wisdom and emptiness, the
Okay.
third principal path.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we didn't really do the prayers. I mean, since you don't have the page, I will kind of read it out for you and you can maybe just hear the words. Yeah, we'll do that before that final. 3 prostrations. So the dedication is meant to kind of just also remind us that, we're doing this, and hopefully the karma from this will go towards your enlightenment. Um, so it goes, by the goodness of what I've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. We'll stand up and share with you 3 prostrations. You do it just sitting. And thank you so much for making the time to listen. Thanks those who are listening, the recording the same. We really appreciate you, because as they say in Buddhism, you have to have a lot of karma to be able to get to these teachings. They're available. There's lots of books, but to actually make it to here is a great thing that helps you further along the path. So I wish you the very best. Alice, whatever happens in the knee, and I believe it's going to be towards its healing.
Hope so.
Yeah, either more rest or some repair.
I'm gonna have an MRI on Friday and see.
Yeah, so that be prepared for the worst. So then,
Oh, I'm pretty prepared for the worst, because the feeling was really bad.
really, yeah, like you knew it's just not like a sprain or
I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't like
yeah,
the
yeah,
way that it moved,
yeah,
and the fact that I was not able to walk after that because it was
yeah.
not like holding me.
Really, yeah, yeah. But well, if you do have that, how long did they say might be the wait for surgery?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully they will let you know at that point. Then at least you can.
Yeah, at least I can be here every Saturday because
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
home.
That sounds good. And you had enough power for the whole class. So that's
Exactly.
very okay. Yeah, there is a blessing. Yeah, look at the silver lining in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can, like, I mean, if you obviously you're not going to be able to do a lot if you went to an online class, but you know, doing some breathing, maybe some stuff in the upper body can
Yeah.
just make it better,
Yeah.
breathe with energy. So yeah, I would say kind of do that and just do what you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you
Okay.
so
Thank
much.
you.
And I will um, send off the recording and hopefully see you next Saturday.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.